it was me being reckless. It was me not going to the people I know they can help me. And I'm regretting all of that. But at the end of the day, like I mentioned, there's no excuses, and there's no other one to blame other than me.
Back in the spring of 2021, the San Diego Padres shook up the baseball world when they announced that they had offered their 22-year-old rising star a 14-year, $340 million contract that at the time was the third biggest in MLB history, behind Mike Trout and Mookie Betts. That's pretty darn good company for a 22-year-old. But today, the San Diego Padres find themselves in the playoffs without their $340 million cornerstone. So let's take a look at what happened to Fernando Tatis Jr. On January 2nd, 1999, a star was born in the Dominican Republic by the name of Fernando Tatis Jr. His dad, Fernando Tatis Sr., was a member of the St. Louis Cardinals at the time. This made it impossible for a young Fernando to avoid the game of baseball. He spent a lot of time in the major league clubhouses, so naturally he developed relationships with Major League Baseball stars, including Robinson Cano, who is from the same town as Fernando's family. As many of you may know, the Dominican Republic has been a hub for birthing Major League Baseball talent, so many people would say Fernando Tatis Jr. was destined for a career in the big leagues, and those people were absolutely right. By 2015, at the young age of 16, Tatis had been signed by the Chicago White Sox as an international free agent by way of the Dominican Prospect League. Tatis would then go on to debut with the Arizona League Padres and Tri-City Dust Devils, batting a combined .273 with 4 home runs and 25 RBIs in 55 games. However, on the defensive side, where many have said Tatis has struggled his entire career, he made 15 errors and had a .904 fielding percentage. In 2017, Tatis would improve in all aspects while playing for their Fort Wayne Tin Caps and San Antonio Missions, posting a .275 batting average with 22 home runs, 75 RBI, and 32 stolen bases with a fielding percentage of .936. On the defensive side, this was the dawn of a rising star. Tatis entered 2018 as one of the top prospects in the minor leagues. He returned to play shortstop for San Antonio, and in 88 games he batted .286 with 16 home runs, 43 RBI, and 16 stolen bases. On July 23, 2018, Tatis would, however, undergo a season-ending injury for a broken left thumb. However, by 2019, the San Diego Padres had seen enough. Tatis was already ranked as one of the top 3 prospects in the baseball MLB pipeline, and on March 26, 2019, the Padres announced that Tatis had made their opening day roster. Tatis almost immediately proved that he could fit in. In his major league debut, he recorded 2 hits against the San Francisco Giants. However, Tatis Jr.'s 2019 season would be cut short by a back injury he suffered in August. However, in 2020, Fernando Tatis Jr. would come back with a vengeance. In 2020, Tatis led the National League in power speed number and batted .277, which was good for 10th in the league, with 50 runs, good for 2nd in the league, 17 home runs, good for 2nd in the league, 42 RBIs, good for 4th in the league, and 11 stolen bases, good for 4th in the league, and 224 at-bats. And this season would have Tatis finish in 4th place for the National League MVP award behind Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, and his teammate Manny Machado. And the San Diego Padres knew exactly what they had in Tatis. They had a young cornerstone that they could build the future on, and they wasted no time in giving him a 14-year, $340 million contract extension. At the time, the 3rd richest in MLB history, behind only Mike Trout and Mookie Betts. That's pretty good company. So where did it all go wrong? It started in December of 2021 when it had been reported that Tatis had been in a motorcycle accident. The Padres had to actually learn via Twitter, since at the time there was an MLB lockout and the clubs were prohibited from direct contact with their players. Fernando Tatis Jr.'s dad actually downplayed the injury, saying that it wasn't a big deal and that his son only scraped his knees and hands a little. When Tatis Jr. was later asked about the accident, he had actually said which one, implying that there had been multiple accidents. Tatis would later come out and said that in addition to the accident, he had tripped over a hurdle while he was training for the season, and that may have actually exacerbated the injury that he had to his wrist. If you are at all familiar with sports contracts, most of the time they prohibit dangerous activities for their athletes just because there's a high possibility that they may not be able to perform in the sport if they are hurt outside. However, the Padres would attempt no punitive action, such as trying to recover some of the money that they paid to Tatis by way of a contract breach, because it was actually really early in his 14-year deal, and I'm sure the Padres didn't want to upset Tatis in any way and maybe have him ask for a trade later on. However, just when the Padres didn't think it could get any worse, AJ Preller, the Padres general manager, was in Frisco, Texas to check on Tatis, who was then at the time on injury rehab assignment. From there, Preller traveled to meet a big league club in Washington, D.C. on August 12th. That afternoon, he would be blindsided by a call from Dan Lozano, Tatis' agent, informing him of an immediate suspension. It was weird because Preller had just seen Tatis, and when he seen Tatis, Tatis did not mention the suspension in any regard. Media would then go down a rabbit hole to determine what happened to Tatis. Initially, the Tatis camp blamed that the positive test and confusion over a medication he needed to treat ringworm was the reason he had tested positive for crossball. Tatis' mother would even then go on to post a picture of Tatis' neck with a ringworm, really insinuating that he actually had it and that the crossball wasn't for performing enhancing effects. And Tatis Jr.'s father would even go on to blast the league himself for the suspension, saying, quote, "There are millions of fans who are going to stop watching baseball now. It's a total disappointment for Dominican fans and fans throughout the world for something so insignificant, and it wasn't worth it." However, even with all of the controversy over the ringworm, Tatis would go on to serve his full 80-game suspension, while the San Diego Padres now find themselves in a playoff matchup against the New York Mets. Tatis Jr. would suffer a lot of off-the-field damage. A year ago, his jersey was second most popular in the game behind Mookie Betts, according to the MLB sales figures. Today, the shoe company Adidas publicly cut ties with him, and spokespeople for Gatorade and Dairy Queen did not return emails for this story, but Tatis' national spots with them appear to have been dropped as well. The young star has many years left in the MLB, but many think his lack of maturity could hamper his career. We've all made mistakes, but unlike Tatis Jr., most of our mistakes aren't publicized. I personally think Tatis Jr. will learn from his mistakes and come out a better baseball player. But Tatis Jr. needs to realize he's on the clock now, and everything he does will be watched and scrutinized, so he should exercise extreme judgment when engaging in all activities.